Hey everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this month's episodes of Make America Travel Again podcast. We talked about cruising on the high seas, especially with Royal Caribbean, where Clinton and I were able to do our most recent cruise. And we also were able to interview a dear friend of mine, Nikki Hall, who is our cruise expert. She's been on many cruises, whether it's been with family, friends, whether there's been a theme or not, whether it's an interior room or a balcony room. So if you're interested, make sure to check back in our latest podcast to see what it's like on board hearing from somebody other than myself. But to end this podcast, what I want to talk about in particular are the beauties and the differences between various cruise lines. And what you're going to find with these different cruise lines is going to be something that's going to define you later. What do I mean by that? So we chose Royal Caribbean simply because it is one of the largest brands. They are family friendly, they cater to families, and they cater to the experience of having something to do for many different at many different venues and for many different experiences and different types of clients. So you can have karaoke. You were able to not just do karaoke as a family, but you could actually compete if you wanted to. So you could start day one, have a song, build up that song throughout the week, get voted on, and make it to the finale, hopefully, by the last day of the cruise. If you're into those things, they were available. They had tons of theater performances on board, something that my mother-in-law loved dearly. You could see Rock of Ages, you could see different plays, depending on who's on board and who they have for that period of time for that specific cruise. And then, of course, if you just wanted to be at the pool and kind of just relax, you could do that as well. They had many different pools. So on the Enchantment of the Sea, there were two main pools where they had lifeguards. I recommend still watching your children. You still are their parental figures. And unless you purchased the part of a package that allows you to have a babysitter, and in that case you would have dropped them off at a specific place on the ship, watch your children. Make sure they're not interrupting other people's vacations as well. There's also hot tubs there. The hottest tubs that I found were actually in the adult only section. So on Royal Caribbean, they have an area called the Solarium. It's the adults only pool and the adults only hot tub. In addition, they also have a little buffet area depending on the time of day, and you could get finger food, finger sandwiches, light snacks. And I absolutely loved the Solarium, even because the breakfast buffets or some of the buffets would get pretty busy, but the Solarium was pretty quiet. So you could always go in there and enjoy a little bit more peace and solitude because you knew that the children weren't going to be there. But if the family was your thing, aboard Royal Caribbean, they have an unlimited amount of experiences that you can have. Whether you want to have your children ride on the flow rider, a surfboard type wave machine, whether you want them to go down slides, if you want them to spend some time away from you, you can, like I had mentioned earlier, get a babysitter. They have plenty of areas on board where you can drop your kids off depending on their age for a period of time and for a period of money. For instance, an infant, they're not going to necessarily watch all night long. You're going to need to pick your kid up. But of course, maybe somebody that's a little bit older that can walk around the ship like a teenager, you may get a little bit more freedom on that one. When it comes to cruise lines that are a little bit more adult themed, one of the ones I'm going to steer you towards is Virgin Voyages. We are actually going on a cruise later this year in August for Clinton's birthday. I'll put some information here. Feel free to join us. It's going to be a great time, mostly because Virgin Voyages, they don't just stress that they are adult only. They also cater to that adult only feel, meaning When you are on board, all dining is included, Wi-Fi is included. The only thing that is not included is your drinks. And the way that they work with your drinks is you create what's called a bar tab. Royal Caribbean has something different. Royal Caribbean will have what's called a drink package. They will charge the people in the room, usually 2, per day, per person, for a drink package. It could be between $45 and $50 to start. It could have some sales to get it down a little lower to $35 a day. But either way, you have to pay per person per day for that drink package. The bar tab is different on Virgin. What it allows you to do is very simply, like a bar tab, you will go up and take out that money. So I'd like a drink. Great, that'll be $7. Cool, take it out of my bar tab. It allows the openness of my husband, who doesn't drink, to just have a soda or a mocktail and not feel like they're wasting their money on a drink package they'll actually never use, versus also being feeling like one of us has to drink a lot, or feeling like we'd said in the earlier podcast, a little trapped in the drink package plan. So we're going to figure that out. We're going to add some money to our bar tab and draw from it and see how it goes. The other thing is the food. So on Virgin Voyages, all of the food is included. That means that when I step into a restaurant, I don't have to think, is this complimentary or is this something that I will have to pay extra? For instance, when we were on Royal Caribbean, Chops Grill, one of their premier steakhouses there, was a specialty dining, meaning I had to make a reservation. There was a charge per person, and that was not included as part of my normal cruise experience. It was an extra add-on. For Virgin Voyages, all of the dining is included. The only thing I had to do was make sure that I signed up for the specialty restaurants as opposed to the open dining restaurants. They had about 7 on board, anywhere from a restaurant called Pink Agave that is going to have Mexican food on it, to a steakhouse, a breakfast place called The Wake, and Razzle Dazzle, one of the American-themed food restaurants. And so I was able to make reservations for myself and my group, and we know now that we're going to be 7:30 at the restaurant of choice, and we're good to go. That's the only big recommendation that I've heard going from Virgin, is making sure if you want the specialty dinings, which are included, that you sign up for them when sign up starts. If not, you may not actually get into that restaurant because it usually is reservation only. But that's okay. That's only the specialty restaurants. On Virgin, they still have about 12 other restaurants that you can go in and out of without a reservation. Other cruise lines, depending on your flair, are going to be expedition cruise lines such as Lindblad Expeditions. There are also expedition cruise lines depending on how large the ship is. So Lindblad is very small. They're able to go to smaller ports, whereas cruise lines such as Princess and Disney, while they're still going to advertise whale watching in Alaska, for instance, or Mexico, or being able to go to a national park, depending on where it is along the water, such as Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve, it's still going to have a lot more people on board. So if you want more of a whale watching sightseeing experience that includes kayaking, zodiacs, and more interaction with the land and the water than just being on the ship, you're going to want to go with your Lindblad Expeditions, some of these other voyage companies, versus Disney, family-friendly, Princess, a little bit more family-friendly, and those likes. The other ones that I also recommend are actually not large cruise liners. They're going to be small river cruises, such as Viking, which is throughout a lot of Europe, parts of the United States, and other river cruise lines. If you're looking for something more of like a boutique feel, I recommend American Cruise Lines. They're usually for the 55 plus older community, but they do cater to that community. Everything is included, all food, all drinks. The only thing that you pay extra for is some of the side excursions. And it's a great way to meet new people and see especially the United States, because that is where that cruise line works out of, is the United States. It's an American flag ship, and all of the crew on board are Americans, which, if you're looking for that type of experience, is the direction I would push you to. Other than that, one of the things that I highly recommend is just get out there and do it. Go contact us at Tally Your Adventure Dream Vacations. Ask all the questions that you want. We want to get you out there. We want to have you experience new adventures. And if that means getting on a cruise ship and figuring out if it's the one that you want, we're here to help you along the way. Thank you guys for tuning in, and look forward to next month, where we're going to talk about one of my favorite countries in the world, the Netherlands. Bye.